Why in God's name is the CEO's espresso maker screaming like a banshee's tea kettle again? I grumbled, squeezing behind the server rack with a pen light between my teeth and a 3-day-old apple in my jacket. That cursed machine shared a circuit with the climate control for the East Wing. A fun fact I discovered only after the great cappuccino blackout of 2011. Not a soul ever wrote that down. Naturally, nobody except me ever wrote anything down in this place. But I remembered because I remember everything. That morning started like every other for the past 21 years. Me, Eleanor May Thornton, sliding the office key into the lock at 6:47 a.m., 23 minutes before we officially opened, using the original bronze key they handed me in 2002. I'd grease it twice yearly. You'd be amazed how many executives assume a lock is busted if it makes any sound. Common sense isn't so common after all. The night crew had left chewing gum in the sink again. Someone from product abandoned sushi in the break room fridge over the weekend. The probiotic drink exploded. Not technically my responsibility, nowhere in my job description. But guess who cleaned fermented cabbage off a smart fridge using a laminated poster and a cafeteria spoon? This lady. Some days I felt like human superglue. I kept everything from falling apart in complete silence. Got used exactly the same way, only noticed when something cracked. The CEO still thought I was just reception, even though my business card read facilities and operations manager. And my inbox held 3,200 unread urgent emails from people who couldn't figure out how to replace printer ink if their stock portfolios depended on it. Things got worse when they hired that new HR director, Sophia. Fresh from her MBA. All smiles and buzzwords. She once asked me where to plug in the network cable. I told her, "Honey, same place your performance reviews are going into the wall." She didn't find it funny. Now, I'm no social media influencer, but apparently 97% of y'all listening to these stories haven't hit subscribe. That's like showing up to Thanksgiving dinner with an empty stomach and empty hands. So go ahead, smash that subscribe button. Keeps the stories coming and the revenge served cold. Back to the chaos. I didn't attend prestigious universities. Didn't wear suits that cost more than my car payment. But I knew that building. Not like a facilities manager knows it. No, I knew it like you know an old friend. Which pipes groaned before a storm. Which thermostat went haywire when humidity topped 70%. Where the electrical panel creaked like a haunted attic if you opened it too quickly. I kept that company running through blackouts, burst pipes, and 3 CEOs worth of questionable choices. And they simply forgot. No appreciation, no raises, no thank you cards from leadership. Just once when I stayed past midnight to personally snake the ladies' room drain after someone flushed their access badge. Don't ask. The former VP of Finance tossed me a half-finished granola bar and said, "You're an angel, Mary. My name is Eleanor." Eventually, I stopped correcting them. I wasn't trying to be the hero. I just believed in doing things properly. That lease, the one that let us occupy prime downtown property for a fraction of current rates, I negotiated that back when we couldn't even get a property owner to call us back. Company had 5 employees and a fax machine held together with rubber bands. The founder asked if I'd co-sign. Hell, I just put the entire lease in my name. Nobody else had decent credit back then. I didn't mind. They felt like family. Like most families, they eventually forgot who paid the bills. You ever walk into a space you've spent decades maintaining and suddenly realize nobody sees you unless the copier breaks, or there's a roach in the kitchen? That was my life. Invisible until disaster struck. Then suddenly I was everyone's mother and custodian combined. Heaven forbid the air conditioning failed. Then I was Queen Eleanor, defender against perspiration. So yeah, I kept appearing quiet, reliable, steady as the foundation. Then came that Monday. HR sent an all-hands email announcing strategic organizational optimization, which in corporate speak is like a mob boss saying, "Let's go for a drive." My stomach dropped. I'd witnessed enough executives sob into their smoothies during downsizing to recognize the signs. I was next. And I wasn't going to beg. I'd already started remembering things they'd forgotten they needed from me. And this time, I wasn't cleaning up their disaster. The calendar invite arrived at 4:58 p.m., just as I was peeling dried cheese off the microwave door. Subject line, quick touch base with HR. No details, no context, Just a meeting request dropped into my schedule like bird droppings on a windshield. I arrived the next morning, prompt as always, wearing my navy sweater with a frayed cuff and a coffee stain shaped like Florida. That sweater had survived 3 CEOs, 1 electrical fire, and a gender reveal party that ended in separation. It was my battle gear. Sophia from HR already occupied conference room B. She beamed like a game show host. Beside her, some attorney I'd never seen before. Polished shoes, shinier hair, and a file folder he kept caressing like it contained state secrets. "Eleanor, thanks for joining us," Sophia chirped. "We wanted to discuss some organizational restructuring." That word, restructuring, landed harder than a sledgehammer. I'd interpreted it for others, held their hands, covered their duties. I knew the script by heart. First came the grin, then the folder, then the non-apology apology. "We're moving in a different direction," she said. I looked at her. That direction wouldn't happen to exclude me, would it? Silence. Then a gentle slide of the folder across the table. Inside, a boilerplate severance agreement with more fine print than a pharmaceutical ad. 3 months' salary, NDA provisions, health coverage through month's end. How thoughtful. The letter didn't even spell my name right. Listed me as Eleanor J. Thornton. 21 years, and they still couldn't get it right. "We're requesting your badge and keys today," the lawyer droned. "Also, any company assets in your possession." I inhaled deeply enough to crack plaster. Then I reached into my purse and placed the badge on the table like a casino chip. Next the keys, all 11 of them, labeled in my handwriting from 2002, back when I used to stay after hours to reprogram the security system myself. "You certain?" I asked, staring at Sophia. She blinked. "Pardon, you certain you want these? Final opportunity." She gave me that HR expression, sympathetic, hollow, fake a sweetener. "It's just business." "Sure it is," I muttered, rising. "Just remember, you can't dismiss what you never comprehended." I left before I could torch the place with my glare. The sunlight felt harsh on my face. The street hummed with activity, but I felt numb. I didn't cry. Not in front of them. Not after 21 years of solving their problems, repairing their equipment, talking their interns through anxiety attacks. They wanted to erase me. Fine. But they'd erased too much. I didn't go straight home. I pulled into a coffee shop lot, sat in my car with the engine silent, and called Vincent. Vince was my old neighbor's kid. Used to trim my hedges. Now he's a property attorney with a headset surgically attached and a nervous tick whenever someone mentions litigation. He answered immediately. "Eleanor, everything all right?" "No," I said, "but it's about to be. Remember that lease we drafted in '02? A pause, then a soft whistle. "Oh," he said, "that lease." "Yeah. Do they realize?" I smiled for the first time that day. Not a kind smile. A dangerous one. "They just demanded the keys," I said. "So I think it's time I gave them exactly what they requested." My house smelled like pine cleaner and old detective shows. My method of staying grounded. I dropped my purse by the entrance, slipped off my flats, and headed straight to the hall closet where I stored the just-in-case-they-pull-something folder. Never imagined I'd actually need it, but here we were. The folder was bright yellow marked in marker. Lease 2002, Eleanor only. I removed it with the same caution you'd use handling nitroglycerin. Inside, original lease contract, 7 addendums, a receipt for the area rug I purchased for reception before we could afford real furniture, and 3 sticky notes with sketches from the founder's daughter back when the office was a single room above a Vietnamese restaurant. 21 years ago, they couldn't secure a lease if their survival depended on it. No credit history, no income, 1 computer, and a fax machine that sounded like a dying cat. The founder, Derek, sat across from me at a diner and said, "Eleanor, if you don't help us, we'll be operating out of my basement. My wife will divorce me." I didn't just co-sign. I signed the entire thing myself. "Just temporarily until we're stable," he said. We never revisited that conversation because after that, it was always me who handled renewals. Me who managed the property owner, me who scheduled the HVAC maintenance, the flooring replacement, the mysterious odor and sweet sea that turned out to be a deceased raccoon in the ventilation. They never transferred the lease. Never even asked. I sat at my dining table, opened a ginger ale, and began reading like my self-respect was hidden somewhere in that legalese. Page 12, Section 9B. Lease renewal shall require written notification from the lessee no less than 30 days before termination. I blinked. Read it twice. Then I verified the expiration date. August 1st. Today was August 3rd. 2 days past deadline. They hadn't renewed. Hadn't even sent a memo. Not a whisper from legal. Not a peep from Sophia. Not a single frantic message about permits or rental agreements. They were so occupied congratulating themselves and shuffling job titles that they missed the most critical deadline in the company's physical existence. I leaned back in my chair. A long, deliberate grin spread across my face. The kind of expression you wear when you realize karma just handed you a winning lottery ticket. It wasn't just that they terminated me. It was how they did it. Like wiping away a smudge. Like I was just some replaceable middle-aged woman with outdated knowledge. But see, my knowledge operated the whole building. They forgot I remained the lessee, the legal occupant. And now they were trespassers with fancy coffee makers. I grabbed my phone and started checking. Insurance policy, still under my name. HVAC service agreement renewed, last year through my personal email. Janitorial services only appeared because I PayPal'd the supervisor monthly under building maintenance fund. Utilities connected through a commercial account I established with the municipality in 2005, back when the power failed every time someone operated the copier and the toaster simultaneously. Everything essential still flowed through me. I could alert them. I could send a message, forward the lease details with a subject like, FYI, important oversight. That's what they wouldn't have done if positions were switched. No, if situations were reversed, they'd already be interviewing my replacement, someone younger who'd need YouTube tutorials to flip a breaker. So I closed the lease folder. I poured another ginger ale. And I chose, for the first time in 2 decades, to remain silent. Let them discover the quiet. Let them locate the cliff edge when they stumble over it. Let the espresso maker be their first hint. Because now they were trespassing. And I held the documentation to prove it. I wore my good shoes to the meeting with the property manager. Not because I needed to impress, but because they clicked louder on tile floors. I wanted my arrival announced. Gregory, the property manager, glanced up from his screen when I entered his office on the 4th floor. He was the type who perpetually smelled like printer ink and kept 17 different colored pens on his desk for absolutely no reason. Eleanor, he said, surprised. Didn't expect to see you again. I smiled. Let's say I'm here in an administrative capacity. He cocked his head like a puzzled spaniel. I sat down, extracted my folder, and presented him the lease documentation. Original contracts, all amendments, still immaculate, including the one posted where the founder sketched a flying taco during our 2009 renewal discussion. I need to verify something, I said. There was no written renewal application submitted by July 1st, correct? He blinked, began typing frantically like the keyboard insulted his mother. No. Nothing from the company. No record in our system. I figured they were continuing month to month while negotiating new terms. We hadn't received anything formal. I nodded, serene as a cemetery. Perfect. That aligns because under Clause 9B, it converts to monthly tenancy if no notification is provided. Gregory reclined. His chair squeaked like bad brakes. Technically, yes, that's accurate. I produced another document from my bag. Measured and intentional. Premium paper, silver embossed header. I'd like to officially notify you of lease cancellation. Effective in 30 days. His eyebrows climbed so high I thought they'd request hazard pay. Wait, you're canceling? Correct. As the lessee of record, they missed the renewal deadline, and I've already secured a replacement tenant. He gulped audibly. Do they realize? They will. The new tenant was a wellness company called Zenith Wellness. All cold-pressed juice and handcrafted air filters. Young, flush with venture capital, and eager for downtown space to install their meditation pods and oxygen bar. I met the founder at an organic market last year while selecting turnips. She offered triple the current lease value. Gregory massaged his receding hairline. This is going to get complicated. Complicated, I said, standing, was what they handed me after 2 decades of dedication. I departed before he could probe further. Back home, I opened a blank legal form on my computer and completed the fields. Plaintiff, Eleanor May Thornton. Defendant, current occupant, Suite 201 to 221. Grounds for eviction: failure to renew lease, material violation, and unauthorized subletting. I discovered they leased a rear office to some blockchain advisor without ever informing me. Another minor oversight. I submitted it digitally through the courthouse system, paid the rush processing fee. The confirmation landed in my inbox with a satisfying chime that made me feel younger than any spa treatment could. Then, predictably, HR contacted me. Subject: confirmation of return materials. Dear Eleanor, hope you're well. We're following up to confirm you've returned all company materials, including files, keys, badges, and any other physical or digital property belonging to the company. Please acknowledge receipt. Best, Sophia. I didn't pause. I selected reply all, knowing Sophia loved to CC half the organization to appear productive. My response: yes, including the ones you didn't realize I possessed. I clicked send and relaxed in my chair. The building had meant something to me once. I'd watched it transform from bare studs and cable chaos into something sleek and professional. I'd consumed more meals at that reception desk than in my own home. Shared laughs with trainees. Wept when I lost my cat and someone left me a sympathy card in the lunchroom. But affection has boundaries, and mine expired 2 days after they slid that folder across the table. I wasn't just settling scores. I was reclaiming everything. 2 mornings later, I stood in my breakfast nook watering my orchid with one hand and clutching the certified mail in the other. Thick envelope, genuine ink signature, embossed with courthouse seals and all. Plaintiff, Eleanor May Thornton. Defendant, company is occupant suite 201 to 221. Subject, notice of termination and order to vacate premises. My name in bold right there at the top. It felt unreal, like reading your own biography while alive, except instead of death it was rebirth. A rebirth in yoga pants and memory foam slippers, but nonetheless. Across the city, the identical envelope arrived at reception around 9:13 a.m. The property manager sent it express delivery and emailed a duplicate for good measure. Standard protocol. 30-day warning. Tenant has failed to renew. New occupancy arranged. Please vacate or respond via legal representation. Issue was the receptionist that morning was a temp. Name tag read Madison in glitter gel pen. Probably assumed it was junk mail. She tossed it in the recycling between a carton of stale protein bars and a jam stapler. Meanwhile, upstairs in the executive suite, the leadership team was busy shining their reputations. IPO discussions, brand overhauls. One of them was presenting about disrupting paradigms, whatever that meant. I'd seen the PowerPoint on LinkedIn later. It featured a stock image of a woman grinning while eating quinoa and gesturing at a chart. Revolutionary material. They were too immersed in their own importance to notice the tide receding. I sat on my sofa rereading the notice, not because I questioned the legality. Vincent made certain it was bulletproof. I just needed to absorb it. The gravity, the finality. This wasn't just some HR squabble anymore. This was a ticking bomb wrapped in red tape and secured with a bureaucratic ribbon. And I'd struck the match. There was a moment, maybe half a minute, where guilt attempted to surface. That building had been my second home. I'd patched its wounds, calmed its tremors, kept it functioning. I'd witnessed engagements announced in that office. Pregnancies celebrated, relationships bloom, and wither with equal intensity. It had significance once, but now it was just a container filled with people who believed legacy meant outdated. So I refolded the notice into the envelope and filed it in my cabinet, right behind my separation agreement and 3 unpaid traffic citations I kept for entertainment. That's when my phone vibrated. Tom from facilities. Hey, you good? Something strange happening here. Front desk received a court document, but nobody's discussing it. Atmosphere feels weird. Tom was one of the decent ones. Soft-spoken guy. Knew how to replace a circuit breaker without complaining. Once assisted me in removing a bat from the conference room drop ceiling. I nearly responded with "I'm fine." That seemed dishonest. So I sent, "I'm better than fine, Tom. I'm finally being recognized." He didn't respond immediately, likely still processing whatever rumors were circulating. I pictured the bewilderment. The executives assuming the document was an error or a scam. Or perhaps they'd blame a supplier. They excelled at that, delegating blame like it was facility management. But the fuse was lit, and I'd already arranged the accelerant, fuel, and extinguisher just beyond their grasp. The conference room at Vincent's firm reeked of stale coffee and corporate ambition. Artificial ferns in every corner. One of those inspirational prints that reads excellence above a photo of a rock climber moments from disaster. Vincent sat opposite me in a gray pinstripe suit that made him resemble an anxious puppet. But his grip was steady as he presented the final lease transfer papers. Just sign here under departing lessee, and again on page 4 under authorizing party. He hesitated, pen hovering. Still committed to this. I examined the document. Clean, clinical, emotionless as Sophia's smile. Incoming tenant, Zenith Wellness Incorporated effective date. August 31st, 12 p.m. terms, $12,800 per month triple net, 5-year agreement. Signature line, Eleanor May Thornton. I took the pen. No regrets, Vincent asked. Only that I didn't act sooner. The pen moved across the page like a blade, and just like that, 21 years of institutional knowledge transferred to a kombucha empire with a vision board. Vincent exhaled. I'll file this with the property manager this afternoon. Judge already approved the eviction. You'll receive posting confirmation within 48 hours. I arched an eyebrow. They'll have 48 hours to clear out, he confirmed. From the moment notice is posted. No appeals, no extensions. They missed the renewal period, sublet without permission, and ignored termination documents. You provided the opportunity. They built their own trap. I exited the office with duplicates of assigned papers secured in a manila envelope marked resolution. Not payback, not revenge, simply resolution. Because that's what this had become, a precise, surgical conclusion to 2 decades of being invisible while supporting the structure. That evening, I drove downtown. The city appeared different after dark, glossier, harsher, like everything had been coated in steel and disappointment. I parked across from the building and cut the engine. Left the lights dark, just observing. The lights still burned in the executive floors, probably blazing through thousands in overtime and delivered poke bowls. Sophia was likely crafting another culture deck. The CEO was probably somewhere in his corner suite rehearsing his venture pitch in the reflection with whiskey in one hand and delusion in the other. I nursed my convenience store coffee and lowered the window. The building stood there, oblivious, quiet, illuminated like New Year's Eve, and equally unaware of approaching consequences. That same building that once felt like home, now a stranger. I gazed up at Suite 221, the corner space. My former station, now claimed by some project coordinator who believes HVAC means happy vibes and coffee. I smiled, not from spite, not even satisfaction. It was the smile of someone observing a train approaching while a man texts, too distracted to hear the whistle. They had no clue that come morning, the county would be affixing a neon orange notice to their pristine doors. That within 48 hours, every brainstorming board, every stability ball seat, every meditation cushion in the creative corner would be packed into a rental truck with Zenith Wellness waiting behind, payment ready and sage bundles prepared. I remained until the lights began dimming. Then I drove home, windows open, breeze in my hair, manila folder riding shotgun, and a type of calm I hadn't experienced since 2003. Right around when I learned that appreciation expires, but leverage lasts indefinitely. At precisely 8:03 a.m., Sophia strutted into the building like a triumphant mannequin. Oat milk latte in grip, nude heels clicking like her personal applause track. She paused at reception and flashed the temper practice smile. "Any messages?" she trilled. Madison blinked. "Oh, right. Something weird posted on the CEO's door." Sophia rolled her eyes. Likely assumed it was another passive-aggressive note from IT. Previous week, they taped a SpongeBob meme under the thermostat after someone set it to 82 degrees. By 8:07, she reached the second floor. By 8:08, she stood frozen before the CEO's office with her mouth hanging open like a goldfish at feeding time. Fluorescent orange eviction decree. Laminated. Cable tied to the handle. Signed, sealed, delivered. Notice to vacate. Property in breach of lease. 48 hours. She fumbled for her phone, fingers trembling like she'd overdosed on matcha. Called building security. Attempted to peel the notice from the glass, but it clung like justice itself. By 8:30, the CEO arrived, unshaven, earpiece attached, probably expecting another maximize the quarter morning. Instead, he discovered Sophia pacing, the entire marketing department gawking, and a legal notice secured to his door like a game over notification. He yanked it off, read it, blinked twice, then again. By 9:02, his phone rang. Gregory, the property manager. "Mr. Chun," Gregory said, professional and detached. "This confirms enforcement of lease termination. We notified you via certified mail and email over 2 weeks ago. We received no response. We assumed your silence was deliberate." "Deliberate?" Chin sputtered. "Naturally. Who ignores a 30-day legal warning unless they intend to?" Gregory said. The satisfaction in his tone was unmistakable. By 9:10, chaos erupted. Executives began flooding the office individually, each reacting to the fluorescent document like it was radioactive. HR assembled an emergency session in the glass conference room where transparency was more architectural than philosophical. They shut the blinds halfway, then realized too late they didn't extend to the floor. The entire office watched their breakdown like premium cable. By 10:15, someone finally identified the plaintiff. Sophia opened her laptop, accessed the scanned court papers attached to the email they dismissed. There it was, clear as crystal. Plaintiff, Eleanor May Thornton. "Wait!" "Eleanor," she whispered. Tom from facilities, bless his soul, nodded knowingly in the break area. "Told you something felt different." Meanwhile, I was home in my sunroom. Tea brewing, cat purring, phone buzzing like a hornet's nest. Vincent texted first. "It's done." They contacted building security. "Marshall arrives tomorrow." "You're legendary." Then Tom. "They look like chickens in a thunderstorm." "Proud of you." Then the local business blog posted. Downtown tech firm evicted amid lease dispute. Insider suggests mismanagement crisis. The article didn't name me explicitly, but the comments section connected the dots. Someone posted a blurry photo of the eviction decree. Another commented, "Wasn't their operations manager there like forever?" Someone responded, "Bet she knew where the bodies were buried." I sipped my tea. Those bodies had been buried under thankless assignments and invisible labor for 2 decades. Nobody acknowledged me on Administrative Professionals Day. Nobody noticed when I remained until 9 p.m. rebooting the server with a paperclip. But they were noticing now. They just didn't realize this wasn't even the finale. Not yet. The call arrived at 7:42 p.m. I was halfway through organizing my spice cabinet, alphabetically, naturally. A woman needs structure somewhere in this chaotic universe. The screen displayed a name I hadn't seen since he forgot mine at the holiday party. Chun, Marcus CEO. I let it ring twice, 3 times. Answered on the 4th. Eleanor speaking. He didn't waste breath. "What the hell is happening?" "You can't do this," he bellowed, voice cracking like a teenager caught breaking curfew. I set him on speaker, poured myself some wine, and leaned against the counter like I was settling in for my favorite show. Because honestly, I absolutely can, I said, steady as morning fog. And I did. Check your lease. You're evicting an entire corporation. Do you understand the optics? The board's losing their minds. We've got media swarming. Our investors dash. I interrupted with a sigh. Marcus, let me pause you there. You terminated the person who held the keys, all of them. Building, legal, operational, institutional. You didn't even verify who signed the lease. We assumed it was Dash. That's the issue, I said. You assumed everything. About me, about the organization, about my value. Silence on the line. Heavy breathing. Probably his blood pressure scaling Mount Stupidity. You ambushed us, he said, attempting to play victim. No, I corrected. I responded to being ambushed. Difference is I came equipped. I opened my email, typed a new message to the CEO and CC'd legal, Sophia from HR, and just for entertainment, facilities. Tom deserved the performance. Subject, company materials as requested. Body, attached please find the complete original lease contract including all amendments, rider provisions, and the subletting violations you failed to report. As requested, confirmation that I've returned all company documentation. Consider this fulfillment of that request. Attachment: lease termination EMT signed PDF. I clicked send while Chun still wheezed into the receiver. This won't end well for you, he finally snarled. The board will dash. Oh, they'll do what they always do, I said, swirling my wine. Cover themselves. Maybe sacrifice you if they're desperate enough. But they won't contact me, because I have the documentation, and Zenith Wellness already wired the first 2 months' rent. That silenced him. I continued. And just to clarify, I didn't betray the company. I just stopped carrying it on my shoulders. The line stayed quiet briefly, then disconnected. I exhaled. Didn't celebrate, didn't gloat. Just stood there, feeling decades of weight dissolve like snow in sunlight. The building's new occupants were scheduled to start relocating Monday. Zenith Wellness had a welcome sign printed already. Your journey begins here. Not exactly my style, but they paid promptly and understood lease agreements. Meanwhile, the former team scrambled for temporary quarters that weren't a suburban conference center or the CEO's overpriced loft with spotty internet. I raised my glass to the empty kitchen. To conclusions. To leverage. To being undervalued until it was too damn late. They wanted company assets returned. I just delivered them with compound interest. By Friday morning, the company was in full crisis mode, desperately courting every commercial landlord within a 10-mile range. Word was they even attempted to bribe Gregory, the property manager, with VIP passes and promises of brand partnership opportunities. One executive supposedly offered him a founding wellness stake, whatever that nonsense meant. Too little, too late. The contract with Zenith Wellness was already executed, notarized, and displayed in their founder's new space, Suite 221. She was already selecting paint samples, something with lavender accents and motivational quotes. The tech company, meanwhile, got evicted like a fraternity that forgot rent existed for a semester. Monday morning arrived like an anvil dropped from the roof. I sat on my deck with black coffee and an old radio playing classic hits while mayhem unfolded 4 blocks south. The sky was clear, birds singing. Down on 6th Street, the former stars of downtown were loading Herman Miller furniture and depleted coffee supplies into a rented truck, missing a brake light. Sophia wore sunglasses large as dinner plates and barked into her phone like she was negotiating international treaties. Someone had taped printer paper to the truck reading, "Strategic relocation." Nice attempt. A crowd formed. People recorded. Then came the chair. Chun, rumpled suit, sweat patches, crimson face, completely lost control. A folding chair sailed from his grip and struck the truck with a metallic thud that echoed between buildings like a funeral bell. Someone uploaded the video captioned, "When your office karma hits harder than your stock options." 3 hours later, it topped tech fails, then viral meltdowns, and finally Cringe Central. The comments were savage. Did they evict him or disconnect his ego? Chair throat equals executive leadership. Someone tell him furniture tantrums won't alter property law. Back home, a courier knocked. She held a basket wrapped in cellophane, organic produce, chamomile tea, a small container of turmeric supplements. On top, a card in flowing script. "Eleanor, thanks for the opportunity in the story. We'll treat it well. The Zenith Wellness family." I laughed. Genuine, deep, therapeutic. First time in ages. I set the basket on my counter, poured some juice, and walked to the hallway. There, beside family photos and my framed first paycheck from 1981, hung a simple brass hook. I opened the drawer and retrieved the one item I'd kept. No ceremony, no fanfare. Just metal and memories. The original office key. I hung it like a medal. Not because it opened anything now, but because once it unlocked everything. And now it sealed the chapter exactly as I intended. Quietly, legally, permanently. Appreciate you staying through this, you champions of the cubicle. Subscribe for more tales. Let's make your former supervisor question their coffee order.